Hey Garth, we're just days away from Christmas Day. It is good to see you, buddy. It's good to be back.
Yeah, good to be back and happy holidays to those celebrating Christmas and otherwise Hanukkah and all those other great holidays that we acknowledge and celebrate. Jason, what is one of the best gifts you've ever received?
Oh, that's a good question, Garth. As I get a little bit older, I find that the best gifts are experiences. So, our
Mm,
family has a little tradition. We always try to give each other an experience to look forward to in the coming year. And last year, one of the experiences we shared was more of a commitment than an actual fixed experience, but it was a trip to Edmonton to watch Oilers play. And it turned out that as a family, we went up and watched Oilers play a playoff game and hit the West Edmonton Mall. And just that time with family away is one of the best gifts I received. What about you? What comes to mind, Garth?
my wife is an unbelievable gift giver.
Oh, I love those
You know,
people.
like yeah, yeah, it's very humbling to receive a gift from her because she is so thoughtful.
There's an art.
Um, I know she won't get me the bike that I want, but yeah, no, I love your example. Yeah, she's excellent at choosing experiences. And she gave me a gift, which was pretty exceptional recently for our anniversary. She gave me gifts to the musical Moulin Rouge here in
Ooh,
Toronto.
this is so
Do you know
fun.
that? Do you know that movie?
I do know the movie. Absolutely. And I've been to the Moulin Rouge in Paris as well.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, that is just, it's one of my favorite gifts because it's the ones that are thoughtful. It's the ones that bring people together that are the gifts because that's really, really significant. And you keep going back to these gifts over and over again.
Well,
And listeners, do we have a gift for you?
yes. Well, we're going to not only talk about one of the greatest gifts to TV, which is Ted Lasso and some of the characters in it, but we're going to
Yes.
gift several resource recommendations and I think some deep thoughts about topics such as servant leadership, but all
Yeah.
based around, humility and vulnerability and some reflection on that as we move into this holiday season.
Yeah. So enjoy the episode, listeners. Happy holidays.
Enjoy the show.
With Garth and Jason, we dive right in. Breaking down Ted's world, let's begin. From AFC, Richmond's Field to your day to day. Lassoing leadership's here to stay. Keep leading the lasso way. Together we'll grow stronger every day. So plug in your headphones and let's start the show. With lessons from Ted, we'll learn and grow.
Welcome back to Lassoing Leadership. I'm Jason Rogers.
Hi, everyone. I'm Garth Nichols. This is episode one of our deep dive into two main topics that are so important to leadership: humility and vulnerability. And today, in the next 15 minutes or so, we'll take a look at the role that it plays in our practice. And then we'll speak to next week. We speak to a good friend, close friend, and colleague of mine to get some more feedback.
Can hardly wait for that conversation. But with this theme, Garth, I'm missing Ted Lasso and his
Oh,
team a little bit.
yeah, me too. I think they all demonstrated some level of humility and
True.
vulnerability on the arc of their character development. And I think immediately of the humility and vulnerability, actually, of your favorite character, Roy Kent. And if you haven't listened to season one, Roy Kent was Jason's favorite character almost always.
Yeah, he's there. Or sorry, he's here. He's there. He's everywhere. I'm a little
He's
out of practice.
everywhere.
He's everywhere.
Yeah, so let's spend some time on this, Jason. Let's go into detail here with a little bit more of Ted and Ted Lasso and his crew. What do you get from Roy about humility and vulnerability?
Well, since you asked,
Whoa, 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 whoa! Before
what?
we need to warn you. One,
Oh,
spoiler alert, we expect that you have watched the show, and if not,
right.
pause and go watch all three seasons quickly and then come back, or just listen to one or two of season one. And two, Jason can be long-winded when it comes to Roy. So those are my two warnings, but please
That's
do
what
go ahead.
happens when you love something or somebody, Garth. You just want to talk
Yeah.
about them. So, and I won't disappoint today. Roy Kent is a standout character from Ted Lasso. I think he is the standout character throughout the entire series. He's a deeply layered individual whose development throughout the series showcases his journey towards embracing humility and vulnerability, even through that tough outer shell. These qualities are central to his arc as a retired footballer navigating a new phase of life while learning to balance his gruff exterior with a softer, more introspective role. Okay. So humility, Garth. When we think about it in this context, a particular striking moment of humility for Roy is Roy's acceptance of his limitations. I think it's true for us all, right? Both as a player and a person, and sometimes inversely in and out of those. When he realizes he can no longer perform at the same level on the pitch, he chooses to retire rather than tarnish his legacy. This decision is not just about self-preservation, but it's about respect for the sport and the people who admire him. And we probably have seen some of this geopolitically around the world, sometimes sooner, sometimes later. And I think it's happening right now in Canada, maybe even. So very, very on point. I hope people are watching and learning from Roy Kent. Also, Roy's humility is most evident in his post-football career. And this is my favorite part of him entirely. Initially, he struggles with the transition from being a celebrated athlete to a retired player, grappling with the loss of his identity. His willingness to take on a coaching role, despite feeling that is beneath his former glory, marks a turning point for him and his humility. How's that?
I love that. And I think you got more to say, but I love the idea that there are systems and structures of hierarchy in terms of what it is our worth, and that Roy really explores that in his role in coaching. But I know you've got more to say, Jason. Go on.
I do, actually. Roy Kent's journey towards vulnerability is one of the most compelling aspects of his character. Initially, Roy is known for tough, no-nonsense demeanor, which he uses to shield and protect himself from emotional exposure. So true. I think we all do this, Garth. However, through his relationships, particularly with Keeley and his team and his niece, he learns to open up and express his feelings. And sometimes kids can help us do that. And I think we see this, and we have the great benefit of being around kids in education. So maybe that's a true opportunity. One of the most poignant examples of Roy's vulnerability is his relationship with Keeley. He confesses his fears, his insecurities to her, such as feeling lost after retirement and uncertain about the future. The honesty not only strengthens their bond, but allows Roy to grow as a person. His willingness to cry openly, such as during moments of frustration, of emotional reflection, contrasts sharply with his earlier stoicism, showcasing his evolution. What a man, Roy Kent. That's how I see it, Garth.
What a man, but I want to highlight that there are several strong women in his life who get him there, and I think you're absolutely right. But also, I think his interactions with his team changes over time too. He starts to show like genuine care for the players, particularly those struggling with confidence or personal issues. And he does that by, as you said, sharing his own experiences and struggles, and that becomes wisdom for him. He demonstrates his growth as a leader, but also as like a great teammate.
Oh man, it's so great to get back to these characters, and I think it begs a question. How does this reflect back on us, and how is that part of our experience? And I think in season 1 of our podcast, we spent a lot of time talking about challenges and talking about reflecting back on ourselves. And I really hope our listeners are taking a moment and thinking about where they show humility and vulnerability in their work. But what about you, Garth? Any character come to mind when you're thinking about humility and vulnerability inside the Ted Lasso, sphere?
Yeah, I mentioned him a couple of times in season 1. For me, it has to be Higgins. Right?
Yeah.
Higgins' humility is amazing. In the way he treats people, coaches, players, even Rebecca, he just never places himself above others. I think a defining moment for him comes when he courageously admits to Rebecca that her attempts to sabotage Ted are wrong. It's a quiet defiance. It's not rooted in ego, but in his sort of integrity. There's like a humble courage there that I love about him. He also shines in how he embraces imperfections. He frequently acknowledges his quirks and awkwardness, self-deprecating humor, and that endears him to those around him. And he doesn't seek the limelight, and instead derives joy from the success of others, particularly the team and his family. He's always talking about his family.
And you're making such a case for him being a real star leader in this. And I really am coming around to the fact that Higgins has some secret sauce in there that he is leading, from behind in a lot of respects. He is so lovable and so generous.
Yeah. And I think this really is captured in the way that he fosters community in the club. Like the Christmas episode, and it's Christmas time when we're recording this, where he invites players to his home. He highlights his willingness to open his life to others. Sure. And when you do that, you're risking judgment. But instead, he does that. He welcomes people. He asks them to bring their food, and that endears him to them. It earns their admiration, earns their gratitude. And he has a heartfelt speech, like often peppered with humor, to reveal a man who is not afraid to wear his heart on his sleeve. And that is humility and vulnerability.
And for those who are listeners of every episode, I know many of you are, you'll know that we had our 7 gifts of the holiday season, our last episode. And let's just make it 8. I think everybody should go back and watch that holiday episode of Ted Lasso. It is so
That's on my list.
Good. All right, Garth. And we need to get back off memory lane. So what can we recommend to our listeners to read, listen, watch, learn more about humility and vulnerability in their work?
Yeah, there's a Forbes article that I think I would reference here, and it's entitled 4 Ways to Lead with Humility and Vulnerability in High Performing Teams. We'll link to it in our show notes. And Brent Gleason, he's a former Navy SEAL, and in it he writes, and I'm quoting here, in Navy special warfare, accountability and trust are extremely pivotal as it pertains to the role of humility and vulnerability. I have seen these attributes play out in training and on the battlefield. Under stress or conflict, you will see some of the best and sometimes the worst leadership attributes be manifested. It's up to the individual to have enough self-awareness to take a tactical pause, gain composure, and have the humility to admit fault or articulate the situation clearly from the vulnerable viewpoint. Jason, I love that this article focused on self-awareness as a gateway to see the gifts and wisdom in others. So I highly recommend that. Article. Yeah. What about you, Jason?
Amazing, Garth. I couldn't agree more. And I can recommend one other. The title is How Humble Leaders Really Work by Dan Cable, an article from HBR. In it, he talks about servant leadership, which we've talked about so much on this podcast already. And he writes that when leaders adopt a humble mindset of a servant leaders view their key role as serving employees as they explore and grow, providing tangible and emotional support as they do so. To put it bluntly, servant leaders have the humility, courage, and insight to admit that they can benefit from expertise of others who have less power than them. They actively seek the ideas and unique contributions of employees that they serve. This is how servant leaders create a culture of learning and an atmosphere that encourages followers to become the very best they can. It's totally worth a read. Anything else, Sir Garth?
Yeah. So, a couple articles, and then I got one more here to add to it. It's a lot of reading. We don't have a TED Talk or anything right now, but you'll watch Ted Lasso, I'm sure, my listeners. So we'll link to this one in our show notes. And I'm a huge fan of baseball, and I've just been seeing all the stuff going on between the Yankees, the Cubs, the Dodgers. It's pretty insane. But despite that, I still love baseball. So this article is called What I Learned About Humility from a Major League Baseball Coach. And Bill Treasurer writes about his interactions with legendary MLB coach Clint Hurdle. He was managing the Pittsburgh Pirates. And so what Bill writes about is, I learned from Clint that hardship and leadership go hand in hand. And holding on to your ego too tightly is guaranteed to make you fail. Getting humbled is an important step in becoming the best leader possible. Failure is an event, not a person. As a leader, you can't let failure define you, but you ought to let it shape you and how you lead. Like a swift kick in the backside, you right? It stings when you mess up or make a regrettable choice or fail. But if you're willing to let the experience adjust your ego, you'll gain wisdom. As Mark Twain once said, good judgment is the result of experience, and the experience is the result of bad judgment. So I just love how the article sort of spins around a little bit. And I think there is nothing more humbling than the game of baseball at times. So there you go. Another great article for us. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, in this 10-minute episode, Garth, there's been a ton of quick bits, and I hope people jump into them. And as we get ready to close this episode, let's not forget that we have a special guest in next week's podcast. Do you want to tease that for a minute?
Yeah, for sure. So Beth Pillsbury is going to join us. She's the director of the head of the Maybach High School in Berkeley, California. At Maybach, you are accepted for who you are and who you choose to become. It was established in 1972, still a relatively new school. It's a vibrant community dedicated to learning. So I know Beth because she's on the board of directors with me from iScene, and that's where I get to work with her. So when it came to this, I just immediately thought of her when this topic came up because she does such a great job of centering the voices of others. And I think that's really, really significant in this topic. We have a great conversation with her, and she's just so humble, and she just shares so much with us. So get ready for that.
I love this episode, and I can't wait to get it out to the world. People are going to love it. So get your listening ears on and your questions ready for us about humility and vulnerability, please.
Yeah, check those out. Send us any questions or ideas that you have. We hope that you take, if you're listening to this over the holidays, we hope you take some time to rest and reflect, and take us along on a walk or something along those lines. So, yeah. So that's a wrap. Thanks for listening, everybody. Be sure to like, subscribe, tell your friends, all those things. And remember, lassoingleadership@gmail.com. I was just going to say, if you want to slip into our DMs on Instagram, or if you see us around in the holidays, just meet up with us and have a chat. We love it.
Let's do it.
Jason, lead us out.
Until next time, keep leading the lasso way. Thanks, Garth. Enjoyed that.
Yeah. Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Step up to the mic, it's time to play. Lassoing leadership every day. From the pitch to the boardroom, lessons call to mind. Keep leading the lasso way, you'll find. We've got heart, we've got soul, and humor too. Exploring how Ted shows what leaders should do. With Garth and Jason, we dive right in, breaking down Ted's world. Let's begin from AFC, Richmond's Field to your day-to-day. Lassoing leadership's here to stay. Keep leading the lasso way. Together we'll grow stronger every day. So plug in your headphones and let's start the show. With lessons from Ted we'll learn.